Hello. Greetings. Eclipsy, Max Lerner, Kenyax. Who's for an inv? Inv. How interesting. Ba, 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 ba. I did see your level, yes. Very good. 2 days, okay. You're level 1. And I'm online, yes. I can join voice chat. Yes. I've been finding it more difficult to keep track of what day of the week it is. Now I don't have to go to work. So that's fun.
Welcome to Blizzard World.
It's easy enough to find out what day it is, but
Attack commences in 30 seconds.
yeah. Today is your mother's birthday. Well, I know one thing she can't do. Have a party with people. That's not gonna happen. Most likely available, yeah. Most likely.
3, 2, 1. Attack commencing. Capture objective A.
Switching to combat.
Oh. Amazing. Okay, that works. No, stop trying to kill me with bullets. Very rude. Whoa. Ow.
Only through conflict.
Only through
And they say chivalry. And they say chivalry. And they say chivalry. And they say chivalry.
Ooh.
Sigma present.
Hello.
Oh, that was interesting. Ooh, I was trying to heal. I'm still trying to heal. Oh. Hey, Militia. We'll join us in a sec. Okay. Oh. I got less health now. What? I'm okay.
I'll be watching over you.
Interested in country? Head to the Gilded Rose.
Doomfist.
You should talk
The payload stopped.
Oh. Oh. Yeah. Ah, res. Oh. Oh, I almost had it. I wanted to go for the risky res, didn't work out. Greetings.
My ultimate is charging. My ultimate is yosh.
Really? How interesting.
Ultimate is
Nerf this.
What is everyone doing? We need to move the payload.
payload progresses. Excellent. Excellent.
We don't need that.
My ultimate is da-da-dum. Ooh! Nice. Hello.
The true enemy of humanity is disorder.
Somebody get the payload moving. I've got the payload.
Whoa! Watch out.
Sigma present. Sigma present.
The payload stopped. Get it moving.
with every death comes again.
60 seconds.
You know,
remaining.
I'm tempted. I'm tempted when Echo comes out to continue the GTA stuff and sack off the multiplayer stuff instead. Because I feel like that's more entertaining content.
30 seconds remaining.
So go back to my 4.2 and have the GTA stuff there as the 2.
We cannot stop now. Move the payload.
Don't know when Echo will come out though.
10 seconds remaining.
Cannot lose.
The payload is moving. Join me.
4.2 works because of the 2 break, you know, schedule. 'Cause I take breaks at 4 and 6. So 4-2 works into that better. Hello. Sorry? No. Why? It's only 21 degrees in my room, so that's fine. Aren't I bored of this game? Nope. Because I'm still playing it. Hey, Lilith. Wouldn't keep playing it if I was bored of it. Here's my all modes hours, which looks like a bit of a mess right now, but at least the times are still fairly similar. Quick players much need to. Okay, look at that. There we go. Delicious. What's in the box?
Level up. Traveling to Hanamura.
Patience, 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 patience.
My friends.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
3 out of 5 on your dips placements. Okay. How have you done so far? Some good games?
Now to strike.
You should be at performance.
3, 2, 1.
Yes, please.
Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Last game was pretty easy. Their Rhine charged in every time and died. Okay. Overconfidence is a flimsy shield.
This is not your time. Enemy seen.
Chaos within you.
Chaos. Bronze DPS. Oof. You got bronze DPS because you suck at DPS. It's not anyone else's fault. It's yours. That's the first thing you have to realize if you want to get better in comp. Your skill is your responsibility, not anyone else's. And that's what the game's rating you on, your skill. So if it tells you you suck, that's because you suck. Not any other reason. Because remember, diamond, below diamond, so bronze, silver, gold, and plat, it will rate you on your skill and your skill alone. It does not take your team's teamwork into account when placing you below diamond. So if it's placing you in bronze, that's because it thinks your skill level is bronze. So if you want to get out of bronze, you have to convince it that it's wrong by playing better than bronze.
60 seconds.
There's no evidence to suggest that winning or losing has any effect on where you place in placements. Because some people, I've seen plenty of people lose every single placement and place really, really high. And vice versa. So... Heal up. If your goal is to improve, the first thing you need to do is accept responsibility for your own skill. And if you're not doing that, then you're going to find it very hard. Yep. You're right, Ivan. Sure, but remember, the goal below diamond is to prove to the game that you're better than it thinks you are. And that has nothing to do with the rest of your team. All you can do is work with the best things that you are given, right? Do the best that you can under the circumstances, right? And if your team is behaving real bad and playing real bad, that's not your fault. But what you have to decide and what you have to do is prove to the game that you can make the best out of the situation that you've been given, right? $20 SR a game is not the lowest you can lose in a single game, as far as I know, from what I've heard. But generally, if you're losing less than you're gaining per match, then that means that you're playing at a slightly higher level than it thinks you are, and vice versa. And the bigger the difference, the more your skill level is different to your skill rating. So if you're only going up a slight bit more, it means you're mostly where you should be. So you need to really try harder to convince the game you need to be higher. You can use the gains and losses as an indicator of how far off your skill level is from your skill rating, right? And if it's not very far off, it means you got a lot more work to do. G got masters and 6v6 comp. Nice.
This place makes me sick.
How embarrassing. How embarrassing.
Masters, it's 3,500 to 4,000.
Sometimes it doesn't hurt to change.
The advantage is mine.
How embarrassing.
3, 2, greetings. 1. Round 1. Capture.
How embarrassing. How embarrassing.
Hold the objective.
Where does it go? Down, that's down.
Advantage. There's two Bappas. How many, what percentage of fight smacks would you say, oops, do you try to 1v6 as a damage? Oh, thank you. What percentage of the fights do you go in before anyone else? Try to get some picks and then end up dying. And what percentage of deaths, of your deaths, would be entirely preventable if you played differently? If you know, strategized a bit more, thought about what you were doing a bit more. Because dying is something you want to avoid at all times, in general. Because you're not useful to your team dead, right? Wow, I got nothing done as Genji, but yeah, it's Genji.
1-0.
It's a careful balancing nature, really. You can't be too aggressive, but you can't be too passive either. It depends. How often do you watch your own replays and analyze your own performance?
3, 2, 1. Round 2. Capture the objective.
I'm out of here.
Ryan's looking a little worse for wear. Okay. Oh yeah. That sucks.
It's a perfect day for some mayhem.
Do you know what your biggest weaknesses are in terms of damage? Do you know why you've been placed in bronze? In terms of you, not anyone else. In terms of you.
Victory. Play of the game.
Yeah, but
Welcome to Paris.
Human strength will only get you so far.
True strength is hard work and dedication. No augmentation. Much more talkative now, aren't you, Genji?
I find the company more agreeable these days.
Fiskult привет! Hello!
hello.
5, 4, 3,
Привет!
2, 1. Attack commences. Capture objective A.
I know who's been naughty.
Oh. Hello. Thanks for the raid.
Strong.
Jubus the nerd.
Ash here. Enemy turret within my sight.
Yeah, what a time. Not quite the same game there then. Did you have a good stream? Oh yeah. Now most of the population are locked inside their own home, basically. They're playing the video games than what they want to play. That Hong Kong stuff is pretty much all forgotten about now, so just beat the game, that's.
Only through conflict do we evolve.
I don't think I've played any of those ones before. Isn't it similar to things like Ratchet and Clank? Similar kind of game. Six weeks. It's likely to be more than that. Yeah.
Just enemy turret overhead. Hello.
Ash
Hiya! Charging him by myself. Let's go. No. You see, more of a platformer stealth than a shooter. Right, right.
I will protect.
Still in the same kind of vein though, right? Sort of third-person platformer kind of game.
60 seconds remaining.
Or is it first person? I'm not that familiar with it. Probably tell you about what the guy looks like, the main character. That's about it.
Walks among
30 seconds remaining.
Get to work! Time for
Would you say 3 is your favorite because of the childhood nostalgia aspect?
Touch from afar.
Yeah.
Turret detected.
Defeat.
What?
Play of the game.
It's interesting how that works, isn't it? Sometimes your favorite game isn't the best one of the series.
Reach for the sky. Reach for reach for reach for the sky.
I think the first GTA I played was number 2.
Watchpoint Gibraltar.
Although maybe it wasn't. It might have been GTA London.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Which was basically GTA 1.5, right? It was the one between 1 and 2.
Hello.
And you could run people down in front of Buckingham Palace and stuff.
I'm an army of one. I'm an army of one.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
You have an echo highlight and live setting. Because you recorded it on PTR and then my Orisa portrait is tiny and off to the left. Weird when that happens. Ugh. Ugh.
Build 'em up, break 'em down. Bingo! Bingo! Bingo!
Diva online.
Tactical visor activated.
So it looks like throughout the seasons that you've mentioned, you haven't improved on them.
Our world is worth fighting for.
Enemy turret ahead.
Sniper, get your heads down or lose it.
Hello.
Mecha activated.
What? Uh oh. Yeah, don't do that. Good, yeah, you go away.
Tactical visor activated.
Oh, right away. They're not succeeding very well in pushing the payload. Ah, good luck, G. Play well. Ow.
The true enemy of humanity is
Impressive, 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 impressive.
Apagando las luces.
Enemy turret destroyed.
Oh no, don't hack me.
Impressive.
60 seconds.
Pew! 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 Ooh. Just run straight into it. Works for me. Just encourage them to stay away. That should be good enough. Yeah, good enough.
Victory. Play of the game.
Ooh. Banana.
I've got you in my sights. Target rich and
No medals at all. Oh. Yogurt.
Welcome to Junkertown.
So many targets, so little time.
Hmm.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Let Russia never repeat the mistakes of this country.
Merry Christmas!
My ultimate is Mana Mana. My ultimate is Mana Mana.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Whee! He put me back. Ooh, dead monkey. Oh, there's another monkey. Whoa, okay. I'm not good, Hammond.
Imagination is the. Oh yeah.
Fire at will!
Barrier active. Hi there.
Hello.
My ultimate is Mana Mana.
My ultimate is trouble. Oh yeah. My ultimate is oh yeah. This will protect us.
Woo!
My ultimate is oh yeah.
My ultimate is Cheers.
Barrier active. My ultimate is oh yeah.
Get the mercy. Wee! Ooh, get out. Ooh. They lost both their mercies. Excellent.
Team kill.
Ah, more than that.
Heroes never die. Help me! Fire at will!
No, no, no. Okay.
Need healing.
See if I can get this health back.
Pardon me.
There we go.
Signs normalizing. Oh yeah.
My blade is Mana Mana. My ultimate is just Mana Mana.
My ultimate is oh yeah.
2 Pharahs. And 1 Mercy. Oh, I'm rather low on. Oh! That was close.
Vital signs normalizing.
Grab this one as well. Oh, thank you. Now you're making me angry. Ooh. What are you doing, Sambora? Dying. Alright. She didn't even have a translocator down to get out. You can quite easily tell the difference between someone who knows how to play Sombra and someone who doesn't. Because the ones who do will always have an escape route. They'll always have that button that gets them away from the fight. And the ones that don't know how to play Sombra just throw it at when they get attacked and try to get away that way.
30 seconds
If you're good at playing Sombra, you very rarely die. It's a get out of jail free card, a translocator, because it never expires. Just put it somewhere safe and go back when you need to get out. It's pretty simple. Yeah, of course. There are always scenarios where you get one shot and you can't defend against that, but the best thing to do to prevent that, as much as you can, is not get yourself in a situation where you can get one shot. Which is not always possible, but it can be avoided. So you should always know where the Widow is, if there is one, and avoid standing in their line of sight.
victory.
Wherever possible.
Play of the game.
There is the 1 in 100 chance that as you're running around in stealth, the Widow accidentally headshots you. But the thing about camping translocators is because they have an unlimited duration now, there's no guarantee that the Sombra is going to use it. And even if they do, you don't know when they'll use it. So it's kind of a waste. Just sitting there if you're not actually doing anything else. Because you're not contributing to the fight. If you're just sitting by the translocator, just staring at it. Level 2. Wow, so high level. Mystery heroes. Heals.
Traveling to
The US may hit 50,000 confirmed cases today.
The sky's clear for me.
Wow. And that's only confirmed cases.
attack.
The actual number is likely to be,
All systems checked out. Ready for combat maneuvers.
I'd say, above 2 million by now. High 6 digits minimum.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend
Yeah,
objective.
Echo skins would be nice. I'd like Echo to have a red skin. Because, you know, a highly advanced AI going rogue is probably one of the most common tropes in sci-fi, right? So a red skin would be nice. And it's something I could foresee potentially happening in Overwatch's story. Echo might get corrupted or go transition to the dark side at some point. Because the more you look into it, the more you realize that it's extremely difficult if you've got a AGI or an ASI, Artificial General Intelligence or Artificial Superintelligence. It's extremely difficult to ensure they don't go all homicidal and kill everyone. It's very, very hard to avoid that. And people have to take extreme care when designing these things to make sure that that's simply not an option for the AI to even consider, right? That's very difficult. Echo goes evil in Overwatch 4. Hey, Boo. That's not going to happen, Walrus, because copyright.
I'll be watching over.
New defense point. Objective B.
But they might do something along those lines, but it won't be explicitly obvious. Because when it comes to copyright, you can make references to things as long as it's not overtly obvious that's where you got the design from. It can sort of be fairly generic, but still in part a reference. You have to be very, very careful with copyright. Very, very careful.
Ready to burn.
Ash here.
Your safety is my primary concern.
We match now, yes. 1 year anniversary. Ah, yeah. Nice, congrats. I take it you've enjoyed your year so far of being here. And now you look the part. It's the perfect day, isn't it? It's your anniversary gift, I guess. Worked out nicely. It's not copyright because completely different characters in a completely different location. It would be a problem if Claptrap was a wizard and the enemy was some kind of fire demon. That would have been much more of a problem, right? Claptrap had a hat on. It's not quite the same thing though, is it? The original justification for me getting Boa Hoodie was the fact that I was going to meet her in person and I had the opportunity to do it. But because of the invisible threat, I couldn't do that. So I already had the hoodie. So there was no point in just sitting on it. I had to send it.
I can't wait to see you all in action.
No, I didn't promise you beard hair. No, I didn't. Never did. If you think I did, you're remembering wrong. If I did, provide me a clip of me saying it. Because that's entirely possible, right? If I did say it to you on stream, there'll be evidence.
Join my crew.
Yeah, then no evidence, no. I'll just assume I didn't, because I don't ever remember doing it. So that's the assumption. And I never promised that. And I don't think I would ever promise that. It doesn't sound like something I'd do. Because that's silly.
You'll say all day.
Last game was a win, nice. Where did you place? Alright, see you later, Max. Ah, it's your friend, Bo. Look, the two of them. Two people called No Friends in a group. That's ironic. The siblings. Ah. Do you have any siblings? Like legit?
Objective lost. Stop the payload.
$28.12. Hey, not too bad. One sibling. Okay. Too deep. Older or younger?
No dying on my watch.
Who's that Pokemon? It's May. 3 years older. So you're the younger sister. Oh. Have some pee-pee in a bottle. Just smash this healing potion over your head. That will help. Ah.
That's better.
Let's get you back in the fight.
4 sisters and 7 brothers and 2 dads. Wow. Where? I'm a middle child. That was a lie. Oh.
Play of the game.
Yeah, Gia's habit of overreacting to things. Perhaps he doesn't help in that regard. Sure. Raman. Nice.
Now traveling to
Orisa, you grow stronger each time I see you.
My artificial intelligence makes it possible to learn from my experiences and from everything I observe.
Why does my Twitter explode after I start my stream? My feed, it just gets so much in it after I go live. I get so behind. Is it possible for you to tell me a joke? Yes, it is possible. 4 accounts, but why? Why give yourself so much work? Not one done. Alright. Can be fun. Yeah, well, a lot of things can be fun, but not always. You know? Why not go with something that is fun? Always. Isn't that better?
Hello.
Never stop fighting for what you believe in.
Reinhardt at your service.
Be scared. Are you scared? Don't be scared. Are you scared? Heal up.
Find their weakness and claim the objective.
Ba, 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 ba. Ooh. Who's the better sniper now? Go to sleep, old man.
You're going to be okay. Anyone want to join me? You're going to.
Yeah, I have my sleep back. 100% scoped accuracy. Yeah, I shot like one thing.
The objective is mine.
Whenever I get Diva and Mystery Heroes, I panic for a moment and think, did I accidentally do quick play? But yeah, I haven't got past the roll queue screen yet in terms of accidentally playing quick play, so it's an effective enough deterrent to stop me doing it wrong. Farah, just fall off the map, please. Yeah, just suck at flying. Yeah, there you go. Oh, come on. Almost. No, I haven't got past the roll queue screen. So I've clicked on it, the roll queue screen pops up, and then I'm like, oh yeah, we're wrong mode.
Ash here.
and then I click off it. It's not the same thing. So the roll queue screen pops up, and that's as far as I get. I don't get any further. I don't get to queuing. I don't get to hero select. Never gets that far. But, yeah. That's what I mean, so you can call that whatever you like. It doesn't really matter.
Our world is worth fighting for. Amazing.
I don't think you understand the gravity of the situation.
The gravity. A lot of people don't understand the gravity of the situation. And unfortunately, some of them are politicians.
Last round.
Oh. Well, I was going to switch anyway because it's the end of a round.
Score 1-0.
With every death comes honor. With
Bit
honor,
dodgy, don't you think?
Ever wonder
redemption.
why you were never accepted into Overwatch? Almost like someone didn't want you to join.
Bit
Have you ever
dodgy, don't you
considered
think?
getting a new hobby?
Bit dodgy, bit dodgy, bit dodgy.
Bit dodgy. Bit dodgy.
Bit dodgy, bit dodgy, bit dodgy, bit dodgy.
Capture the objective.
Flow like
Let go of that death. Let go of death is
my fate is written in unseen.
My fate is written in sake.
Expect nothing.
Oh, got him. Stop having mercies now. No.
Better. Expect nothing.
Get yourself primed and ready. Shield coming at you.
What? Ah, I'm out of practice. They keep changing the projectile speed of Hanzo as well, and my aim sucks. And I'm not really trying very hard.
There is no obligation for the universe to make sense to you.
Ba-bam, ba-bam. Look at my balls.
I'm taking the objective. Come on over.
Dein Teufel ist da.
It's what? Sorry, Mercury? It's what? What do you say? Heavy rock.
No one can hide from my sight.
Ba-ba-bum-ba-dum-bum. Oops. Got him. There we go. A bit too spread out, aren't they? Yeah, a bit too spread out. Ooh. Oh, I got one. Fewer than I would have liked, but still got him. Ah, Anna died. Got him.
Victory.
Level 50.
Level up.
Nice.
Play of the game.
Collapsing with your new silver board. Naked silver border. Such a baby border. Check out this tweet. It's quite alarming.
Now arriving at Lijiang Tower.
Reckoning draws near.
Keep the skies clear for me.
It's only going to get worse for US as well. A lot worse. Because Trump's been floating the idea of going back to normal already. And they're still on the upward curve. So, it's not that rich people are dumb. You don't get super rich by being dumb. You get super rich by not caring enough about people. That's how you get super rich. Because the super rich are super rich because they exploit people. That's why they're super rich. If you talk to a few people that have worked for Elon Musk before, you'll quickly find out that working conditions aren't super good. Sure, he gets a lot done, but that's because people work extremely hard at places like SpaceX. The hours are very long. The work is intense. He may have a good vision, but his methods are questionable at times. He's nowhere near the worst, of course. There are a lot of rich people that do much worse and treat people much worse than he does. But don't think he's a perfect little snowflake. Right, he's not. Bill Gates does a lot of charity work, sure. But he also has some rather questionable opinions as well. I think even with someone like Bill Gates, who does extremely charitable stuff, the money has still got to his head somewhat. By being rich for as long as he has. I wouldn't go as far as to wish Corona on anybody.
I am on fire, but an extinguisher is not required.
First round, 1.
Hi.
Score 1-0.
Recently, when there were discussions about wealth tax, he was against the idea. And he was against the idea of giving up $100 billion, which would still leave him as a billionaire.
Who knows what the future holds?
And the fact of the matter is, someone who has $1 billion never has to worry about money ever. Even if their income goes to zero and they keep that money, they never have to worry about money. You don't need $100 billion. No one does. You can't spend that much. So anyone saying that that would be a problem for them, that they wouldn't want to give up that kind of money, they're not quite attached to reality as would be preferable, right? Because the fact of the matter is $100 billion has nowhere near as much spending power and nowhere near as much actual useful power in one person's hands than it does in a government's hands, right? In a government's hands, $100 billion can go very, very far and help a lot of people. In one person's hands, they'd struggle to do as much work with that money. So I think Bill Gates suggesting that if they taxed all his billions, that would be a problem for him. He doesn't quite get it. The money has gone to his head somewhat. No one needs to be a billionaire. No one needs anywhere near that much money. 100 million is probably too much, I'd say, for a single person. How would you even spend that much on anything that you need? You can't. You can buy luxury things. You can buy huge mansions, but no one needs a huge mansion, right? No one needs to live in extravagant living conditions. FIFA packs. I mean, there's more than enough money to go around to every single person on Earth. If you spread money evenly, you could make every single person a multimillionaire in the world. If you spread it evenly across the entire world. Now, that's not a good idea, Because then your incentives for, you know, succeeding in life are gone. You don't need to. Everyone's on an equal playing field. And that doesn't make for a good economic society. But that kind of gives you an idea as to how unbalanced things are. If you can make every single person on Earth a millionaire, then that really shows you how unbalanced things are.
Victory. Play of the game.
So, yeah, you could make every single person on Earth comfortable for the rest of their lives. Quite easily.
Double kill. Triple kill.
There needs to be some kind of gradient now. It does. But it's at the moment, especially in places like America, the gradient is excessively extreme. To the point where 3 people in America own more wealth than the bottom half of the country. So 150 plus million people add up to less money than 3 people at the top.
Attack commences in 30 seconds.
And that's just absurd. There is absolutely no reason at all why anyone would need that much money. And the reason why it's got to that absurd degree is because in America, if you have money, that gives you political power automatically. And you can make sure that politicians pass laws that make you richer and make poor people poorer, because where else are you going to get the money? If you want more money, you have to take it from the people. That's what you have to do. And you're not going to take it from the rich, because that wouldn't work, because you're rich. So you have to take it from the poor. So that means that in America, the rich people make laws, those laws make rich people richer and poor people poorer. And over time, that accumulates, that accelerates exponentially to the point where it is now. And if the laws don't change, it will continue. It will get even more extreme. And eventually it will reach breaking point. There will come a point where it cannot continue. And we're talking about things like revolution, right? Eventually the people will have had enough. So there are 2 ways out. Either someone comes along that wants to do something about it and actually does something about it, or the United States of America will not last much longer the way it is right now. And most likely through some kind of violence. Because the people won't stand for it for much longer. No. I don't advocate for any kind of violence, but sometimes it's the only response that will actually work. And it should never come to that. It should never come to a point where that's the only option. But sometimes every other option is tried and fails. And that's the only one that ends up working. But then again, no government system lasts forever, no matter what it is. Even if it's democratic. Democracies generally always fall. They never last forever. And America hasn't had a true democracy for a few decades now. It's becoming more and more and more controlled by the rich. the opinions of the public as a whole do not matter. The rich people will convince them to vote against their best interests, and the system continues. Most politicians are there because they want to be part of the system, rather than being exploited by it. That's why most of them are in power, because they recognize that you can either be part of it and get benefit from it, or lose out, be exploited. But there are some that actually recognize the problems of the system and want to change it, and recognize that the political system can actually fix the problems if used correctly. And there is a growing movement in America that's starting to try and do that. If that movement succeeds, the system is then resolved and it moves back to a true democracy. But that's a long process. Hopefully that process is fast enough to save it. Yeah, like Bernie. The problem with Bernie, though, is he wasn't a strong enough fighter to actually successfully fight the system. He was railing against the system, but not hard enough. Ironically, Trump did it better. Trump fought against the system and won. That's the reason why Trump did so well in 2016. He was running against the system, and the vast majority of the American public recognize the system is broken. So anyone actually saying those words over and over and over gains a lot of support. And Bernie wasn't doing that nearly enough, even though he should have been the loudest on the subject, because he was the one that was fighting against it the hardest, just not in the right way. There are politicians in the system right now that would do a much better job at doing exactly what he did, but better. And next time around in 2024, we may have a good run at it. There's a politician in Congress right now in America called Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is a strong fighter against the establishment, the current system. And she would have a very, very good chance, I think, of actually becoming president if she tried. Currently, she's too young. She's just old enough next time to run if she wants to. And I think there is a lot of people that would back her immediately if she decided to do it. She would be the first female president if she won, yes. I have no doubt she'd make a stronger case than Bernie, because she'll say the things that Bernie just refused to say. Bernie was too kind to his opponents. He didn't want to say bad things about them, even though they deserved to be said. He would very rarely go on the offensive and attack people where it would really hurt them, because they were like the biggest bombshells he could throw at them, right? He just refused to do it. He made counterintuitive arguments. Recently, when he was asked if his main opponent could win versus Donald Trump, he said yes, they could. When that's clearly false.
Welcome to Rialto.
Yes, there is a gender bias in politics. There is. It shouldn't exist, but it does. It's more difficult for females to win. It just is.
Because it was necessary.
That doesn't mean they don't win, right? There are plenty of examples of women winning over men. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, often referred to as AOC, since she has quite a long name, she's female. Most of the progressive winners recently are female. So you've got AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar. There was recently a winner, I think about a week ago, who won against an incumbent, someone who was already in office. So, yeah. There have been some positive moves in that direction over the past few years. But at the rate it's going, it's still going to take a while for the entire system to be upturned by people who actually are in politics to help people and not just be a part of the corrupt system. So at its current pace, without anything changing, it would probably take at least a decade to gain a critical mass of progressives in power to actually start changing things for the better. And that's too long. That's far too long. Based on the things that need to happen now, that's far too long. Yeah. Biden would not win against Trump.
Justice ain't gonna dispense.
And if he does, it would be a miracle. I'm not saying it would be impossible, but it would be unlikely. He'd do very poorly in debates versus Trump. I don't think he would convince enough people to vote for him. And considering what happened with Bernie, where Bernie basically just got the nomination stolen from him by the establishment, I don't think a lot of the people that wanted to vote for Bernie would end up voting for Biden in the general. And yeah, it wouldn't be good.
Comes honor. With honor, redemption.
The only thing that can make Trump lose the general election is Trump. Trump is the only one that can sink himself, right? Because if he really, really, really botches this coronavirus pandemic situation, then it could really start turning people against him, and they may end up voting for Biden instead. The problem is, Biden's activity in the last week has been almost non-existent. He did a live stream yesterday where he looks like a confused old man, not sure where he was or what he was talking about. And that was the only thing he did in a whole week. So, I don't rate his chances. Meanwhile, Bernie's been doing a stream every single day where he talks for hours about the pandemic and how to deal with it. So there's a clear difference between the two. And it's a sad state of affairs that the one actually showing real leadership, showing that he could really handle this crisis, is sadly almost at a 0% chance of actually winning the nomination. It's still technically possible for him to do so, but it's highly unlikely at this point. Hey, Spartacus. There would need to be a massive move, a massive event, I think, to happen. To Biden, for example, that would convince people that Bernie is their guy. Just have to see. I was really hopeful for a while there for Bernie, because he won the first 3 states by popular vote, right? And no one has ever done that before. And that was really encouraging. But then Biden won one state by a good margin, and it flipped on its head.
Death walks among you.
I'm not exactly sure what would happen if he did stop being alive. Would that just remove him from candidacy and then Bernie wins by default? I don't know. I don't know what the rules would be in that case. Because he wouldn't be able to continue running, right? So he'd have to drop out. So in that case, Bernie might end up winning by default, which would be a... don't know. He'd probably... what would need to happen is the delegates that went to Biden would potentially have to make a decision for themselves as to who they'd vote for. Because that's, I think, what happens to the delegates that have been assigned to a candidate that then dropped out. They get to decide who they vote for. And since Biden wouldn't be an option anymore, they'd have to decide on someone else. As for the states that would still have to vote, the number of votes for Biden would go down dramatically, but not to zero. And so Bernie would end up winning the remaining states by a large margin, in all likelihood. And so it would be likely that he would go into the convention potentially with more than 50% and then win the nomination. I don't know whether there would be any precedent for replacing Biden with someone else and then running with that. I don't know whether that's allowed or whether they could do that. I've heard several news coverage YouTube videos of them discussing them potentially replacing Biden. I don't know what the legal, hoops they'd need to jump through in order to make that happen, or whether that's possible, or how they do it. I don't know. In the end, I think what matters is the Democratic Party is an individual entity, and they get to decide the rules of the game in the end. So the party would end up being able to decide what to do. And since they are part of the corrupted system, they will do everything they can to make sure Bernie doesn't get the nomination, even if it goes against the will of the people, which would make things a lot worse for them if they did. Because a lot more people wouldn't vote for the Democratic candidate if the Democratic Party decided, screw the people. The people would not like that at all. So that's... I got a text from UK Gov. Gov.uk alert, coronavirus, new rules enforced now, you must stay at home.
Work have got us as well. My supervisor, who is half my age, got one.
Apparently this country has no emergency alert system whatsoever.
Right, so they are just sending it to every mobile number they can think of. Basically.
It's a makeshift system. Most countries have an emergency alert system, the UK doesn't. Yeah.
I haven't so far.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well that's an essential activity.
You have to wait a month for it to be...
I know, it's silly.
Half the time you can't access I tried to use it last night. But,
Yeah.
it said, sorry, we're really busy at the moment.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Refreshing, so I guess.
So we'll see what happens. At this point, I don't know which candidates are most at risk from coronavirus. Both Trump, Biden, and Bernie are all around the same age. As for their health, I think Trump's is probably the worst in terms of physical health. He's not a healthy chap. He's rather overweight.
So many targets, so little time.
And yeah, I don't rate Trump. I think if I had to guess, I'd say Trump is probably the highest risk individual out of the three. Followed by Biden, followed by Bernie. I think Bernie would have the best chance, in my opinion, of coming out of it okay. I don't know the state of Biden's physical health. I think he's okay in terms of physical health. His mental health, though, is another thing entirely. He's not well in the head. It's clear.
Which makes him a risky person anyway, because he's more likely to do stupid things.
Yeah, well, he's. I think Trump's more dangerous because he deliberately does stupid stuff. Biden's more melty-brained. He doesn't really understand exactly what's going on. He's confused and yeah, he gets confused and yeah, he's the sharpest. Yeah. Yeah. So
Come on, let's bring it together.
yeah, I think Bernie has the best chance of being okay. But even if you're of risk, you've still got a much better chance of surviving than not. So we'll see. And that's assuming they all get it, which will probably happen at some point. Whether it's of any kind of time frame that actually ends up mattering at all, I don't know. We'll see. They are all capable of getting themselves healthcare when they need to. So it's likely that if any of them do need professional healthcare, that they'll get it immediately and have the best chance of surviving if they do get a critical case. So we'll see. I think the chances of them getting it, Bernie would be at a higher risk. Or maybe Trump. Probably Trump would be at a higher risk of getting it. Because he is not taking it nearly seriously enough. And probably putting himself at higher risk of actually contracting it. Bernie's sensible, he'll keep himself safe. Biden, I don't know. Well, yes and no. The healthcare system is a problem, but the biggest problem right now is the government. The government have a massive responsibility to minimize the spread of the virus. And what the US government is doing right now is not enough. Not by any means. So the US is pretty screwed in terms of the number of people that will get infected and will die. The US death toll will be high 6 figures, low 7 figures, in my opinion. So I'd estimate between 500,000 and 2 million people will die from coronavirus in the US. Based on my calculations. How old am I? 32. Yeah. That's if things aren't clamped down on fast. If Trump doesn't get a hold of this soon, that's approximately where I'd place the death toll. Of course, if nothing is done, if he lifts all restrictions, then the death toll will probably be closer to 5 to 10 million. Why did I hear a Zenyatta?
Greetings. Winston reporting.
This will heal you.
And that's just in the US,
Allow me.
which would place it extremely high. So worldwide, you're looking at a lot. It's gonna... There's a possibility that coronavirus will end up overtaking the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 in terms of death toll. Hopefully it won't get anywhere near that high, but it has the potential of getting that high if enough isn't done. The good news is, though, China and India are doing pretty well right now in terms of containing it. And together they have over 3 billion people. So that's a massive chunk of the world's population being protected by their governments doing a good job of containing the virus. In terms of their methods, they leave much to be desired, China especially so, being extremely authoritarian in their approach. But the result is the same. They're trying to save as many lives as possible.
I'm feeling angry.
So, let's see, where's India? India has a population of, I think, 1.3 billion. Yeah, 1.3 billion people, and it has 519 cases. So they're doing pretty well. They may just be behind the curve in terms of infections. They haven't had many cases at all, even enter their country. So it's possible they may end up in a very bad state, but currently they seem to be doing all right.
Time's running out. Let's keep our defense up.
Ooh.
Your safety.
Victory.
San Marino. It is time, yeah. It is.
Nerf this.
Double
So yeah, I'll go on Breck, and after the Breck, more democratic chaos. See you in a few.